Hello and welcome everyone to the Tuesday Night Smite podcast, your weekly dose of armchair analysis. Today's episode is going to be episode 11, and we're going to talk about primarily about the NRG Invitational and doing a little recap of that. But in addition to that, we're going to handle several smaller topics as well, and we're going to get to those. You will see. So yeah, I'm of course going to be your host, the Robbie Dog. I'm here today with Sabo and Psycho. And let's just jump right into our first topic, I would say, which is obviously going to be the NRG Invitational. So yeah, Sabo, I'm going to give you the word. Tell us what happened.
Well, to everybody's surprise, the troll team actually won the entire tournament. If you didn't catch it, the troll team was the team of Aurora and the Manticores. They pulled off some weird upsets. I mean, the thing about this team is we discussed this last week, and we were talking about they were really hoping to get good seedings and just win Saturday, win as much as they can on Saturday, and get the good seeding for Sunday. What ended up happening was what many people thought were the best two teams in the Juggernauts, which is Barracuda's team, and the Minotaurs, which is Raffer's team, ended up playing each other in the semifinals instead of the finals. With Manticores facing off against Titans, yeah. I was trying to think of the other team's name.
Yeah.
With Manticores facing off against the Titans, both matches seemed, fairly one-sided, if I can go that far. The other team in the finals, Juggernauts, was Barracuda team, won 3 games or 2 games to 1 because it was a best of 3. And then the Manticores swept the Titans in a best of 3, going 2-0. The surprise for me about this team, or the biggest thing about the Manticores, was going into the week, you kind of thought they were going to do some troll comps and stuff like that. And they did do the 5-man hell assault game, which is super troll, and I've done it before, kind of slimy. But with the amount of gods each player on this team has in their god pools, you couldn't really ban them out. And that was one of the main reasons why I feel like they won this weekend.
Yeah, I think that was one of their strengths, and probably their biggest one. And considering what the weekend ended up being, and like the type of comps that everyone ran, it played to their cards, really, right? Which is why part of the reason why they were able to win it.
For me, it was more like they seemed like a team that was not just made for this event, but played together for some time, in addition to their god pools. Because when watching the team, I honestly I believe they are an SPL team with this roster, the way they played.
You heard the casters say many times that this team was a team of kind of like second players on their team, and in Captain Twig's case, he's when you think of Obey, you think Captain Twig third, you think Ataraxian Prime before you think Twig, but always, like, every member of this team was always that one guy that was not the superstar, but was the guy that was just behind the superstar, and brought to this team, all 5 of them together. They meshed really well, and like I said, the fact that their god pools are so huge and that you couldn't really ban them out caused them, favored them this weekend, right? Because we know going into the weekend we were going to see some weird comps, some stuff we're not used to seeing. Aurora pulling out the hell support was one of them. To me, this team, like I said, they look like they've been playing together a while, and Aurora did say that he and Emilito had played together a long time ago before the servers were split into regions. So you're right, they do look like they've played together before, and that they've all really enjoyed this weekend.
Yeah. I think that was what played a big role as well. Is them looking more coordinated than the other teams, right? We saw a couple of other ones struggling. I think especially the fucking team names. I think especially Raffer's team looked at times like they weren't as coordinated as the others, right? And I think that hurt them as well. Where we saw a lot of coordination is obviously between the members of the different teams that have already played together a whole lot. Thinking about most specifically Variety and Cuba Threat on, again, team name is not known to me, Barracuda's team. Yeah, it looked like Manticores were more of a unit instead of several smaller units put together, which is surprising considering I think they had all players from different teams, but somehow they just meshed well together.
Well, Aurora got the best, so I guess you can count that.
Oh yeah. Still, for the rest of them it's true, right?
Yeah. And I don't think I would be lying. Never mind.
Yeah. But so to summarize this weekend, we're all idiots. Everyone's an idiot. Never doubt Aurora, because he's Aurora. Also, NA won something.
Well, no, like, no, no, they had Emil. That's enough.
It was the only majority NA team. It's gotta count for something.
Well, if I can tell you how many times I've seen Hell support in the last 2 days, just in my casual matches, that should tell you all you need to know. I've had like 4 or 5 Hell supports in my casual matches the past 2 days. So
yeah.
People paid attention. The troll comps usually don't work out in team environments, but in this situation where not everybody, this is not your normal team. This is not all members of NRG playing on the same team against all members of Trifecta, where experience and skill level outshine the troll comps. But they didn't really troll too much this weekend. Aurora, like I said, Aurora with the Hell support was the only real thing that stood out to me from their comps.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I think it was also, if you look at the teams at the opponents drafted, right, we saw some troll picks. Just thinking about Variety's fucking Zhong solo. Or his 4 solo. But well, yeah.
The Manticores. I wasn't talking about everybody else. The Manticores were considered the troll team coming into the weekend, and they figured, a lot of people figured they'd pull out some troll comps. Hell support was the only trolly thing they did all weekend, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess. Depends a bit on how you look at it. Well, Trolley, like, it obviously wasn't trolling, right? Because they fucking won with it. So, you can't argue with success, at least not too much.
When's the last time you seen Hell in the SPL? Not just in support, but in any role whatsoever.
Yeah, but when's the last time you've seen Terra solo and seen Terra solo actually win a game?
Spring Split. Divios did it like once or twice and won with it.
Yeah, so... Still.
But they're not comparable. Hell has not been in the meta or in any SPL game in almost, what, a year now? I think the fall or the spring of Season 3 was the last time we saw her.
I think we could still somewhat compare them. Right, it's obvious they're both off-meta picks. Hell is just much more of an off-meta pick than Terra solo. Hell support, most specifically. So, yeah, I think it wasn't entirely it wasn't entirely conventional, right? Their drafts, but that's not what you expect from these players as well. Obviously, the Hell support was the most unconventional thing, but I wouldn't call the rest of the comps necessarily conventional. But yeah, it's just my opinion.
But then again, let's just look at the day before and at the Assault match.
Yeah, well, those were... No one had a conventional Assault comp in those games, right? And...
I mean, Roar got some Hell practice there, so...
Yeah, maybe he came up with the idea there for Hell support.
Let's be honest, everybody quit watching that match 4 seconds into the match when everybody saw it was on Hell. Because
I thought it was hilarious.
Like, the UI comes up, shows who's, which got the 5 players picked, and it was Hell, and just everybody quit watching that match because we already knew what was coming. 5 Hells in Assault, you're not going to beat that, no matter how awesome of a team you are.
It was still a fun match, though, if you actually watched it. Like, it was a mess, an incredible mess, but it was fun.
I just gave up. I left like 2 minutes and I was done with that match.
You should have stuck around.
The only thing of worse would have been 5 Alpwasha.
Oh god. That would have actually won against 5 Hells, probably.
Yeah.
You can just cover the entire width of the lane.
And he's got anti-healing. Yeah, you don't have to build anti-healing.
Yeah, but just think about it. Alright, just thinking about it. He can cover... How long does his ult last? Just the first question.
Like 6 or 7 seconds.
So if you get CDR... If all of you get CDR, just like max CDR, you'll have indefinite ults. You'll always have an ult up.
Max CDR and Gem of Isolation.
Yeah, it's fun. Except for the opponents, of course. Still.
If you pick 5 Hells, you deserve to get 5 Alpwashas.
Yeah. You know what the counter to 5 Alpwashas is? 5 Emirs.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, I don't think
you just put up the walls. Right, they ult, you put up the walls.
The walls does that. It doesn't stop the ult.
I think it does, doesn't it?
I think so too.
I don't think it does.
At least when he was released, that was the case. Like walls, player mid structures would block his ult.
Also say, well, Robbie, I don't think you can have a permanent Alpwash ult.
Nah, I just mean like
If you
if
stagger
it lasts
like,
6 seconds, you have 5 people on your team, you have 30 seconds of uptime. It's pretty much permanent. It's close enough.
That's fair.
And
I mean,
it's of
if you
course annoying.
stagger the ult, if you stagger the ults well enough, you can pretty much make it permanent.
Yeah, but we did not see 5 upwash. What we did see,
All about
what we did see were 5 Ulers, 5 Hells, and what were the other 2? 5 Vulcans and 5 Noxes.
That one was fun.
that
Yeah,
one was like that one.
Especially the 5 Noxes were amazing. Just all dashing into each other, then blinking in and all popping out.
To be honest, that caught me by surprise a couple times. I just thought one of them, like, who's this crazy guy dashing in, and then pow, they multiply. Like, what?
Yeah.
It was something to watch. It caught me by surprise more times than I like to admit.
They were basically Sun Wukong.
I mean, I can only imagine how confusing it must have been, like trying to figure out who's the right Nox, the one with blink.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be.
I would like to know how you react to that thing, to that combo when you see it pulled off for the first time. Like, what is your like initial reaction? They all dash into each other. You're sitting there asking yourself, why are they all inside each other?
I think your first reaction is, how did I end up dead from one person?
Yeah.
Because the explosions as they all come out, 5 of those stacked together. You're there 1 second and then you're dead the next second. You're like, how the heck did I die to one person? Oh, surprise! There's 5 of them.
Yeah.
I actually be like pretty mad that it was me who got killed by them out of the 5 people.
Yeah, they can kill more than one. If you're too close together, they're gonna kill 2 at least.
No, then I would blame my teammate for being too close to me.
Yeah, good. Reasonable.
Exactly.
Yeah. Vulcans. 5 Vulcans were great as well. By the way. Just the meatballs everywhere.
I can only imagine what Prime was like when he saw they are against 5 Vulcans.
Yeah.
Well, you got 5 turrets, you got 5 meatballs, you got 5 nukes. I mean, what are you gonna do against all that? Even if you're Nox and you can jump out, you still got. If you land close enough, you got 5 turrets hitting you in the face. And what turrets do? What's the scaling on the turrets? Like 60% magical scaling?
It's too high.
And so you're getting hit by 5 of those. I mean, you're like, your health bar is going to disappear pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's just another dirty combo, right? But at least you can take them out safely as a Nox, right? Because you can just put down your silence, and when it detonates, it's going to kill the cannon. Yeah, these things hit you for like 500 late game with each shot.
I want to know, like, what was Aurora, or not Aurora, but what was Rafferin thinking picking 5 Ulers? I mean, even if it wasn't against 5 Hells. I mean, that combo is not very good, if you ask me.
Well,
you axe someone, and then
you throw 1 axe, and then it's 20 arrows raining down.
That's the plan. And it would have worked if they hadn't had 4 cleanses for that one person that got stunned. And 4 heals. Well, 8 heals. Because going 5 hells is a bit dirty.
Yeah, agreed. But like the 5 Uller combinations, that's a hard combo to hit. You know, it's yeah, you hit the one axe and you get 4 axes chaining after that with 20 arrows. But like,
yeah, you don't even need to have the
still,
axes chained, right? You just need everyone to pop their 3-in-1 on that person that has been stunned.
it's still not the easiest combo to pull off.
Yeah, sure. But it's a potentially really good one.
Do 5 new walls and whatever.
Yeah, that would have been a possibility as well. Like late game, you can basically just ult all staggered, and you should probably deal enough damage to kill someone, or at least get him close to death. I'm not sure how much new ult actually does, but it seems like it could do 20% of your HP.
What was it? What was it? The best who played New Wall in the final game against
Yeah, I'm
or
pretty
the
sure.
final game of the weekend.
Yeah.
And with his build as he was building, like was doing like what 35% of everybody's health.
Also, 5 new ultimates is like 2,000 damage alone without scaling.
Oh yeah.
You got in these soul reavers and ethereal staffs, and you're dead. It's like there's just no escaping that.
And then you got 15 minions attacking the tower. Like,
Oh, that thing's gonna fall quickly.
I just
disgusting.
imagine the army of minions running at them.
Yeah. Oh. About an army of minions, right? Theoretically, it is possible to run another 5-man combo, which is 5 emirs. And what you do is you have like several emirs back in your base, having their upgraded their wall to rank 3, and you just keep the minions from leaving base, from leaving like your
How would
Phoenix
that-
range. And then the enemy's not
stacking
gonna get an
minions.
XP because no minions. And then you just kill them. You let all minions out, and they're gonna run over everything.
I did that in Conquest one time. I had like 4 minion waves stacked up going into the tier 1 tower.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have like, you can keep the walls up forever, right? If you have several emirs, so they're not gonna get minions at all.
Well, it's HiRez, so it would like work for 5 waves, and then the game would crash.
Yeah, probably as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But it would be fun to try.
Yeah, I'd love that actually. When the match of the day comes out, definitely gotta grab someone and do that.
Yeah. Still think they should have also tried 5 tiers. Just because 5 tiers is great. I'm telling you. 5
I want to
tiers
see
with mystical males.
I want to see 5 Sylvanuses. Like, only one of you has to hit the pool actually, and then you can just pull the enemy 5 times.
Yeah, it's the same with tier. Just the pull does damage, and you have mystical mail, and they can't counter both your mystical mail and your physical damage. And you can...
Yeah, but that's not as much fun, is it?
It is.
It isn't.
Of course it is. Well, it's fun for you, it's not fun for them.
5 Ganeshas and just have an endless ohm balancing
no.
everybody.
Please. Don't, like, even one Ganesh is one too many.
What about the 5 Najas?
Or you can just keep ulting someone.
Yeah.
1 person in the air the entire time.
Yeah. 5 Kumbos.
5 Sakets.
Yeah, you just ult. All cats ult the same person. What's she gonna do?
I'm pretty sure, like, It is like 500, and it's true
Five.
damage. They just
5 fast deaths, just everybody ulting on one character. All of a sudden, you got to face 15 cats.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt.
speak 5 arachnes and build a wall.
Yeah. There's a lot of bullshit you can do with 5 of the same characters.
You can actually have 30 minions if you pick back a sewer.
Again, I pose the question: why the hell do you pick 5 Oolers when you have so much other possibilities?
Because you really like Uller.
Yeah.
I really hate Ooler.
Same,
Yep,
but
they
they might
don't.
otherwise.
There's so many other bullshit comps you can run there, and you pick 5 Oolers.
Like, it's either that or whoever suggested it is just uncreative.
Who do you think suggested it? If any member of that team suggested it, who do you think was the guy who did it?
Zeros.
Adapting.
Yeah, I agree with it. Was probably Zeros. I was gonna say Panda Cat, but I don't really equate Panda Cat with Uller all that much.
Panda would have gone for 5 Scotties.
Panda would have went with 5 Artemises.
Oh, can you imagine 5 Scotties? You put the ice down and they just slide into your tower. Let's think about it.
That's actually so mean. But Scotty is enough to make me... Oh no.
Yeah,
I don't want that happening.
we just got 5 Kukulkans and all next to each other. There's so many stupid possibilities.
Oh, Fenrir could also be great. It's like a
Oh yeah.
Sylvanus or Deer. Because you can just keep biting one guy and bring him all the way to bed.
Yeah, and can you imagine 5 Fenrirs all brutalizing the same guy?
I actually remember an old video by that.
Have I ever told you that I did 5 Odins once? Probably did.
Roby's an ass and we won't be working.
5 Odins is also a lot of fun. Like, seriously. you just
I don't see the fun.
you just all bird bomb on the same guy and he's guaranteed dead. And you have permanent cages, basically.
You can make the enemy blind for like 20 seconds with 5 ship blind case.
Oh no. Can you imagine you take 5 Shibalan case, you just ult. Oh wait, no. I was thinking about something that's not possible, right? Because his ult increases his AA damage, AA range, but obviously it's only for the one.
Yeah.
If it was for all 5 of them, like for your entire team, for all ranged characters on there, you could just ult and take down towers while staying out of tower range.
Thoth?
Yeah, he was banned.
Yeah, I'm glad he was.
But I thought they fixed the thing where his like mirrors, his walls stack, and the range just keeps increasing.
I don't know, it's HiRez.
Yeah, I didn't actually know it was a thing until they said it this weekend.
Oh, you didn't see the video of which team was it?
Enix.
Yeah, Enix breaking the match of the
Because they just kept attacking at the enemies in base with their FOFs.
Yeah.
Just putting up 5 walls and shooting them from like outside of Phoenix and Titan range.
You know, I'm gonna have to watch that later then.
Yeah, you really should. It's absolutely hilarious.
I usually watch the Dignitas Scrim, hilarious Scrim videos, but I didn't know Enix had one of their own. So.
Yeah, Enix does a lot of weird stuff as well. Yeah, so what questions do we have left about this invitational? Which part did you enjoy the most, or what did you enjoy the most, just in general?
I think it was F. Dot stealing Barra's shake.
Oh yeah, that was great as well.
Was it really Jeff who gave him his?
No, it was actually I think it was F. Dot who gave it back. Like you can see
Yeah,
the suit coming in on the other side. But just the way he looked at him was brilliant.
My favorite thing of the weekend, if like we're not including what happened on Sunday, and then we've already discussed about the 5 Noxes versus the 5 Vulcans. I think my favorite match of the weekend was the 5 supports versus 5 supports. Pick your poison match. I thought that was really funny to watch.
Yeah, I think my favorite one generally was the Nox versus Vulcans.
Yeah, that was my favorite match as well.
And yeah, probably also my favorite moment, just outright, because it was so funny. Just the Nox combos, the Vulcan combos, it was stupid.
Yeah, I liked that was my favorite match of the weekend too. But like I said, we discussed that a while ago, and my other favorite thing of the weekend was watching the 5 supports versus 5 supports. So I am disappointed because Ganesh is my second favorite card in the game that we didn't get to see Ganesh in the 5 support versus.
Yeah, but would you really give someone Ganesh?
Would I? No, I'd probably take him for myself.
No, like you can't obviously in the circumstances, right? If you had to draft your enemy a team, would you really give them Ganesh?
I'd rather give them Ganesh than give them Kepri. Give them that revive.
Yeah, but who cares about Capri? I think Ganesh is way harder to deal with than a Capri.
Well, I play him in almost all my ranked games.
Yeah.
Another thing, how did Twig get so tall? Guy's a giant. I thought he was short because he always slumps down in his seat. It makes him look so short. And then he stood up. Who was it? F. Dot and was it Aggro or was it Taco? He just tired over both of them.
Well, you can't count Taco because Taco's like just compare her to other casters and she's really small.
Yeah, like if I think most people would tower over Taco, but probably not over F-Top.
He also tired over F. Dot. Like how tall is this guy?
I don't know. You should ask him.
Giant.
I was honestly not paying too much attention to most of the post-game interviews, so...
That was the most surprising... That was one of the more surprising parts of the weekend, was seeing Twig finally stand up out of his chair next to a caster and be a good foot taller than everybody else. Like,
you know, right now, I'm just imagining that his legs are like twice as long as the rest of his body. So that he just looks weird that way. Right, because you think if it's still all proportional, you should notice that he's tall. Kinda don't.
well, like I said, he's always slumping in his chairs when you see the player cam. And then he finally stands up next to people. Like, how the hell? Who knew that he was that tall? Where's he from? What country is he from?
Britain.
Yep. United.
Oh, he's British?
Yeah.
What the hell are they feeding people over there?
Haggis. Oh no, it's Scotland. Well, maybe he is Scottish. I don't know. He doesn't sound Scottish.
I don't know if it's relevant, but he grew up in Africa.
Okay. Doesn't make any more sense.
Everything, that's beside the point. The guy's freaking huge, and that's surprising as hell.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that in our notes, because it's yeah.
I honestly thought he was going to pick Taco up and barp her like a baby. You heard of Andre the Giant? It's Twig the Giant now.
Maybe his like body size, increases with his carry potential, or with his smite skill. So he's just gotten a lot taller, because he's gotten a lot better. Let's think about it. Yeah. Moving on, I think. Do we want to do MVPs?
I feel like we could, to be honest. I get the feeling that we're all pretty much going to have the same person as our MVP.
I don't know. Then tell me, who do you have?
Emilito. I think he was the best player on the team that won, so. He certainly carried, or was certainly a big part of the reason why they won.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise for me that I also think Emil is the MVP.
Yeah, you would have given him the MVP anyway, no matter what happened.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's understandable, right? I think I agree with it as well. Just because he seemed like probably the most consistent member of the team. Because the other guys had, I think, some worse performances than him, just on average, and they also seemed like their bad performances weren't as good as Emilito's, except for that one, of course. But yeah,
I mean, they only lost 2 games all weekend.
Yeah,
They lost the 3 Amigos match, and then they lost 1 game in the finals. And Emilito was one of the big reasons why they won the finals, in my opinion. So everybody else played fairly well, but like definitely the player that did the most heavy lifting, and I use air quotes when I say heavy lifting, but he was certainly the guy doing most of the work for the Manticores.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. So yeah, MVP from all of us.
So what I want to quickly talk about is that Dimi actually didn't have such a great showing when they played the actual Conquest matches. And I was looking forward to seeing how he will play, because I wasn't sure if benching him was the right call, but he didn't look that impressive right now. The Conquest matches.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at Demi too, and he didn't seem like he wanted to be there.
Yeah, he's really struggled all season a bit. But this weekend was probably his the worst performances we've seen from him, honestly. This year so far, in my opinion. Yeah,
He got $100 regardless. So.
Yeah, good thing is he's a coach now, so expectations are lower, right?
I'm not trying to be pressing, but when I looked at Twitter, the NRG team went to the escape room without Dimi as well. Is it tough?
That's weird considering he's still their coach, you know. But yeah,
there's something else there other than he's just playing bad. In my opinion, is bring that up that they went to the room without Demi. There's something else going on. I don't think we got the whole story about that situation.
Like, I don't know, maybe it's just for 4 people. I'm not sure. Just one thing I noticed.
Yeah. But hey, he did good on Nox, so maybe Dimi's just gonna switch to mid.
I mean, he also did great on the Amigos. So maybe he should just become a Joe's main. Like Captain Twig.
Oh yeah. He should just go... Well, he played a warrior there, so it's really the same role. Hey, I just want to say, if Dimi switches to mid, I called it.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, no one does. That's what's gonna happen. Like we saw this weekend, whatever no one expects to happen actually happens. Like fucking Manticore's winning.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, no one did. Yeah. Should we move on? It was just an invitational, like, and it was random teams.
All just for fun, so yeah. I hope they do more stuff like this in the future, but like maybe a little bit different format and all. It'd been a lot funner to see, like, instead of just traditional Conquest on Sunday, make added just a little bit more spice where, I don't know, maybe each player has to play a different role than what they're used to playing. So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just kind of sad that we didn't get to see a tiebreaker, because on her 1v1s are always really interesting, even if it would have been the supports playing them.
No, I think they just left me out. I actually just checked the Escape the Room site, and it's up to 10 players. Per Dimi.
Yeah. Well, he's just a coach now. See, if it's up to 10 players, he doesn't belong there because he's a coach.
That's actually so rude.
Yeah, still, moving on from this, the Invitational. The next topic we're really going to discuss is the Challenger Circuit for today, even though it's potentially a bit of a hornet's nest, I guess. Because we're going to piss someone off anyway, no matter what we say. But
We
yeah.
do that every week.
Yeah. I mean, last week I pissed off all of NA, apparently. But yeah. Still, Challenger Circuit. So, Day to Remember posted a tweet longer. I think it was it today or was it yesterday?
It was 5 days ago.
Yeah, it was 5 days ago.
Oh, I was close. So yeah, it was 5 days ago. Basically, listing all of the complaints that he has with how it's currently set up, the Challenger circuit. And yeah, we're just gonna look through those, I guess, and see what we think about those specific points as well. Who wants to start? Probably.
Well, see, the big thing for me is when he was listing out, if you read his tweet longer, he's listing out things that he feels like could be done better as far as the Challenger circuits goes and how relegations work. It's the incentives. He listed that there's really only one incentive for playing in the Challenger circuit because the money distribution that you get for playing in it is, in his words, inadequate. You know, $50 a week or $50 a player per week for 5 weeks. You know, that does it's not a lot of not a lot of money going around, and if you're trying to play professional esports, not just Smite itself, but if you're trying to make it into the esports scene, $50 is helpful, but it's not enough to be able to do what you want and put as much time into the game as you want to. He proposed the idea that instead of giving people a weekly $50 payment, to make it a prize pool, like put a total prize pool together and have the first seeded team get most of the money, with it going down a certain percentage based on where this plays. Big thing that stands out for me is he said the fact that the best CC team currently earns about 1/16 of the lowest ranked SPL team seems ludicrous, considering the two teams are usually comparable in skill. No, that's his words. And just looking at Flashpoint, that team, how they played this last split, I'm in complete agreement with what he said there. Like that, the fact that Flashpoint earned 16 times more money than the top CC NA team, which was I believe Payne Divion's team. That's crazy. I mean, like, that's just why would you even play for that low amount, that low money?
Yeah, like it certainly doesn't make too much sense, right, to play the lowest ranked SPL team that much more, because what you expect to be the case is to have a sort of gradual curve where the teams lie, and there really shouldn't be any bigger of a difference between the top CC team and the bottom SPL team than between the bottom SPL team and the second to bottom SPL team. So it doesn't make sense that you have this huge pay gap between them, essentially. And I think a lot of criticism can be done towards the current payment structure, because it is not prize money, essentially. It's just an attendance fee, sort of. Right? If how much money you get doesn't have any connection to what place you earn, then it's not prize money, it's an attendance fee. And it is low. That is definitely the case, right? The question is just, the question that I'm asking myself it's more like it is, can we afford, we as Smite Esports, to pay them more right now, right? Because let's be honest about this, there has not been a growth, or at least a significant growth in the Smite Esports scene since probably Season 1. So I'm not sure if it is reasonable to ask for an increase in pay right now, because the money may just not be there, for all we know.
I would tend to agree with you, but you gotta remember, you gotta think about how much undiscovered talent is out there and can't afford to play the game competitively the entire time. They're not getting the money as what they would at maybe a part-time job doing something else. They don't have the time to practice with their teams. They don't, a lot of the talent that is not in the SPL but is down in the upper parts of ranked even in the C Challenger circuit scene. There's a lot of it goes to waste, and they just end up leaving because there's not enough incentive there to keep them around. And if we want to grow this game to where games like League of Legends and Dota are, then you have to invest a little bit more than what you have been. Because, like I said, a lot of the talent that is in the game is not in the SPL.
I actually think the biggest problem for this is not only, the money is a big part, but the bigger problem is that it's really confusing for people who do not follow Challenger circuit and what is the thing before it called?
The Combine.
Yeah, the Combine. They don't really know how to even get into it.
Yeah, I think that's another point that he brought up that we can talk about a bit later. Right now, I would really like to focus on what we think about the payment they receive. But it's definitely going to be a topic later down the line. Any thoughts on that, Psycho? On the payment?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to skip that because I can't really judge the money because I never took part in anything similar to this.
I don't think any of us have. It's not for me. This is not a discussion about how experienced we have with this kind of stuff. Is HiRez making enough of an investment in its esports league to grow it any? Like Roby said, they haven't seen any significant growth since season 1, and if you want your esports scene to grow, then you have to make some sort of investment, and a weekly participation fee, unless maybe they increase it to 150 a week instead of just 50 a week. But right now, a participation fee for the Challenger Cup players is not enough of an incentive to keep playing, and you have to make an investment if you want it to grow.
Yeah.
No, the point I was...
Go ahead.
Right, I will then. The point I was... I didn't mean I didn't take a part of this. I don't mean esports. I mean as a student, I still $50 a week for basically playing the game would is still a big amount of money to me. So that's why I can't really judge this part of it.
Yeah, I see your point. For those of us who play the game for nothing, getting paid to actually play the game is significant. But again, if you're trying to become a professional player in any esport, you have to invest the time and the effort into it. If you're not getting if you feel like you're not getting enough to justify putting that amount of time and effort into the game, then you're just not going to be playing the game anymore. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, or because it comes up again in our next topic, which, spoiler alert, is LG Direwolves. This is one of the biggest reasons the LG Direwolves team just quit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important to look at what HiRez wants Challenger Cup players to be, how much time they want them to invest in Smite as an esports, right? Because I think that's where a disconnect happens in both of those cases, right? In terms of data remembers Twit longer, and in terms of the LG Direwolves, where I think expectations sort of go apart very, very heavily, where you have David to remember looking at it as a sort of semi-pro series, right, where you would expect to earn a decent amount of money from it, whereas HiRez is probably looking at it as an amateur series. And when you look at it from this perspective, it doesn't make too much sense to have them paid a whole lot. And we know that even the bottom SPL teams cannot live on what they're getting from playing in the SPL, right? That's just the state at which Smite Esports is right now, where it's not gotten to a point where all teams in the SPL can really survive on what they're being paid, and that's just an issue in of itself. Where I see the issue with what low money they're paying the Challenger series is just it's hard to say. It's just the difference between it, really, right? Because as you said, it's 1/16th, which is massive when you're expecting both teams to perform at the same level. Because if you're earning 16 times as much as the people who are competing for the same spot as you will be able to invest so much more time into this thing you're doing, this esport, that you should realistically be better at it than them. And that is where the issue really occurs to me, is the system, how it's currently set up, is really set up to keep the Challenger Circuit teams out of the SPL for some reason, just because the pay difference is so big, right?
Yes and no. I mean, there's got to be some sort of like reward for actually making it into the SPL, and having a boost in pay is a big, it's a big reward. And yes, they are, with just by the fact that they're making more money, they have more time to invest in playing the game and getting better. But it's also like, you got to take that as at face value. You got, it's two sides of the same coin. While you do have enough, where you are getting paid more money to invest more time into the game, you're also, worried about keeping your spot in the future. And if you are one of these low teams in the SPL, these bottom two teams in the SPL that have to face relegations every split, you're worried about losing your spot and losing that money. And so you gotta look at it kind of from both sides of the coin. Yes, if you're a Challenger Circuit team, you want to get into the SPL. And if you're an SPL team, you don't want to lose that spot and lose that money that goes along with it. And so that, if the gap is shorter than 16%, 1/16th of the pay, if that gap is shorter or is smaller in pay style, I think you see more of a competition in relegations than what we're used to seeing. like I said, you have to invest into your own the way HiRez does it. They are one of the few studios out there that directly support their esports teams. If I'm not sure if I'm saying the truth, but whatever studio, I've never played League of Legends, but whatever producer studio, supports League of Legends or made League of Legends, they don't directly support their esports, their esports team. They have no investment in. Do they?
They do, yeah. LCS is hosted by Riot Games. A good example for where there is not a lot of involvement from the developer in the esports scene is Counter-Strike. Because CS:GO, most tournaments that are run are not sponsored in any way by Valve. So there is much less of an investment that Valve is doing for Counter-Strike than what Riot is doing for League of Legends.
But okay, yeah, good. That's perfect. That's a perfect example. HiRez is complete. They're investing money into their own esports, whereas Valve is not doing the same thing for Counter-Strike Go. But Counter-Strike Go, just by having that third party being the bridge between esports and the actual game producing company, where that's a third party bridge where they can work out payments, sponsorships, deal directly with the teams, do all that stuff and not have to worry about the balance of the game like HiRez will have to. And so it would bring a lot more money into the game, in my opinion, if somebody outside of HiRez actually would sponsor these tournaments. Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, Valve, from these Counter-Strike tournaments, Valve does get like a percentage of, of the fee, right?
I don't think so. Or what fee are you talking about?
Well, not fee, but like, you get sponsors like Coca-Cola or McDonald's or some company that's supporting the tournament, that's paying to produce the tournament. That some of that sponsorship money, like the developer, like Valve, should get some of that sponsorship money because they're allowing their game to be used at this tournament.
Well, I don't think so, honestly. I think the way Valve handles it, and it's just from what I've heard, right, is that they simply allow people to use their game for free for tournaments. And the way it works then is Valve obviously profits indirectly from it, right? Because they do get exposure for their game, which is how esports has really works in modern times now. Is companies are doing it because it's good exposure for their game.
Okay, then forget everything I just said and say, I do believe more money, more exposure would come to the game if HiRez didn't have such direct involvement in the esports scene. Because you can, if by allowing somebody else to produce the tournaments and deal with sponsorships and deal with team like Team Dignitas and Luminosity and deal with all those organizations that take part in the league, would get more of a general inflow of cash into the scene, which would help the game completely.
Yeah. See, what I'm wondering is whether there is enough interest from these third-party companies in actually investing in Smite in terms of tournaments, because that is the advantage that esports like CS:GO and like League of Legends and like Dota 2 have, is that they are so big that they actually become profitable for the sponsors of specific tournaments, and due to that for tournament organizers, right? The likes of ESL and DreamHack and MLG and whatever else there is, they like to invest in these esports, these specific ones, because they can get a return on that investment there. I'm not sure that is exactly there for Smite. Like, obviously the investment would be lower, much lower, but
the investment will have to be lower, but with Smite getting exposure from these tournaments that these third parties do, you know, that would increase the viewership. That would increase, you know, how many people play the game, how many people pay attention to the SPL, you know, and other pro leagues around the Smite scene. You know, that just the exposure alone would help in the long run, because we've talked about this, maybe not in a recording, but we have talked about how HiRez doesn't really like advertise their game, advertise Smite a whole lot. And games like Dota and League of Legends and CS:GO, yes, they were big before they started having tournaments. These third parties started having tournaments, but once they started having tournaments from these third parties, the exposure made them that much bigger. And so I say again, if you want to grow your esports scene, you have to make an investment.
Yeah,
and I think this investment that makes a lot of sense to me.
See what I think what I think the issue is that the other tournament organizers that are not the developers have no real interest in growing the game. Because if the game is not big enough, it is an issue for HiRez in this case, because HiRez, they earn more money the bigger their game is, right? Obviously. For the likes of ESL, DreamHack, etc., it's not an issue if a game is too small, because they can just broadcast a different game, hold a tournament for a different game. They don't really have to concern themselves with the popularity of a specific game, because it is not their only way to make money.
Okay, I know I said I don't really I can't really talk about money that much a few minutes ago, but I think in Smite I don't think the companies see anything in it or have anything to gain, because like we saw the big companies in Smite when basically around the 2015 World Championship, right? And then Smite just had, like, this is a great example, because the 2015 World Championship had a more than 2.5 million prize pool. 16 one had 1 million, and the 2017 had, I think, like 700,000.
Yeah, I think 600,000 and 500.
Yeah, or something like that.
No, like 650,000. Well, yeah.
And another example is the summer finals. Like, I'm not okay. That's obviously a smaller tournament, but then again, when we look at season 2 summer finals, there were only 6 teams, and the prize pool was $20,000 bigger. And now, 2 years later, there were 2 more teams, and the prize pool was 20,000 smaller. So I don't think that shows, like, big companies can't really see anything in Smite now, because it seems like the game is dying in terms of the esports scene.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's dying. It's just stagnating, in my opinion. And I think the big metric for that to really judge that based on is viewership, and we've really seen viewership has not gone up significantly in quite a long time. I think, at least from what I see when I tune into streams. Obviously, that's the only thing I can base this on. And that's obviously less exposure for potential sponsor for tournaments, for teams, and it's just going to lower the amount of money that they are willing to invest into Smite and into their Smite teams, because it is lowering what they get back from it.
But hey, at least Paladins is growing nicely, right? Like, that's not what HiRez should be doing. Like, what I see is they are trying to promote Paladins everywhere, but I don't see them try doing the same with Smite, or doing it in the same scale as with Paladins.
Really, I'm not seeing any promotion for either one. So yeah.
I will say that I have seen a couple ads for a Paladins, so I'm not.
Well, to be fair, like
a lot, but I have seen some.
Like, if the people distributing ads, they should be able to tell that you're playing Smite. Honestly, based on all the information they have available, right? You probably watch Smite videos. You probably, I don't know, do other things. Go to Smite wikis, go to the Smite subreddits, and do all different types of things there. And they should know that you're playing Smite, so there is no point in advertising Smite to you because you already play it. There is a point in advertising Paladins to you because you do not yet play it. Or do you?
You make a point. But I'm just going to say this: in the 2.5 years I've been playing Smite, I've seen one ad for Smite.
Yeah, but I think that's good. Like, honestly, if I'm already using a product, I do not need to see ads for it. Ads should be shown to different people.
No, like I'm gonna use this as an example. I am a Hearthstone player. I enjoy the game and follow the scene, and like play it pretty often, and I still see ads for example, the new expansion or the tournament that's coming up. Like, I still see that even though I play the game. So I don't think Smite is, like, you can really say that.
Yeah, see, the issue, I think, is that we can't really tell how much ads Smite is really showing because we do not see them. We're not supposed to see them because they would be wasted on us, really, I think. So yeah, and obviously Smite's advertising budget is not going to be big enough that they can tease like different new things that are coming out. They're probably not going to be able to produce real ads that work on people that have never played Smite before for things like the adventures, etc. That's just probably not where the marketing budget of HiRez is. So I'm not sure if you can compare the two, right? Because the other one's Blizzard.
Yeah, also, what I've seen just on Reddit, for example, like, a lot of people say that Smite, like, even if they see a Smite ad once in a blue moon, it looks like an ad for a dumb mobile game, like the scammy type of it. Like, I don't think that's helping the game either.
Yeah, it's probably not. But it's hard to say, honestly. I think what it would take to save Smite, quote unquote, just because this is a good game, right? I think we all agree on that this is a game that we enjoy playing, and that's why we're playing it. And I think we all would also agree that a lot of other people would enjoy playing this game as well. Then the question is, what's really the issue? Is it just advertising that is bad? Is it something else that is keeping people away from Smite? Or how do you even get Smite to other people outside of just purely word of mouth? Looks like we're all clueless.
I mean, I think of something F. Dot said in his last episode of the FPL, that advertising, growing the game, as we would put it, is got to be like a combination or a team effort from both the advertising department and the community. I would agree with that in saying that, like, a lot of the streamers, a lot of the SPL players that you're so used to seeing on Twitch, bringing up, you know, being ambassadors for the game and trying to, you know, justify them streaming, even though the money may not be comparable to, you know, learning all the stuff that goes along with it. But then I'm thinking it's... Sorry, I just got distracted. I just read something. But where was I at? Now I'm completely off. I've completely lost my train of thought. Thank you.
It's not our fault.
I saw a roar to trifecta, and I just lost my complete train of thought.
Yeah. It was announced during this thing, so we're gonna talk about that later on as well. But yeah, just I think a lot of the issues that we see in the Challenger circuit are issues that exist across all of Smite, really, which is just that HiRez's budget is not high enough, and that's the big issue that is plaguing everything, I think.
And again, I bring up, I say that if you want to grow your company and grow your esports scene, you have to make the investment. And the budget's not huge, but how do you grow the budget? By getting more players or more people to play your game. And that all comes from advertising, and the advertisement department, the community, the streamers, the, you know, content creators, like what we're doing here. You know, we have to be ambassadors for the game to be able to grow the game. And I feel like the community is doing their part, and we haven't seen enough of effort from HiRez itself.
Yeah. Like, I think that sort of depends on your point of view, because I always think that you can judge the community effort a lot more easily than you can judge HiRez's own effort. So yeah, I'm not sure, like, honestly.
Well, we spent enough time on pay scale and stuff like that. Let's go to the other points that he brought up.
Yeah, some things that would be a lot more easy to fix, most likely, are the other things that he is mentioning here. Data remember in History Longer, as we said at the beginning already. We're probably going to link that as well, by the way. One of them is for example, that the relegation matchups, the format used there, he doesn't think it is optimal either, just because it is best of ones, and best of ones have a certain level of randomness to them, where it's not always going to be the better team that prevails, and it can cause a worse team getting into the SPL or staying in the SPL, which is obviously an issue because you want teams to be there that actually do deserve it. And it's questionable, in my opinion, whether you can earn that earn the right to be in the SPL by winning best of ones. Right.
Yeah, I like his format that he proposes. Best of three, having round robin tournaments where the 4 teams face off against each other over the course of an entire weekend instead of just the one day, and have EU do one weekend and then the next weekend have NA. I really like that format better. It kind of combines the format that they're using now to what they used to have in relegations, where it was best of 3, but if it was, the top ranked SPL team that was forced into relegations, which in this case would be, the seventh ranked team from last split, being able to choose their opponents from the challenger circuit. So what you would have a lot of times in the past is the team thinking, that top SPL team picking what they felt was the weaker of the 2 challenger teams, and then using that format to go. If they won the best of 3, they would keep their spot.
Yeah, but I don't even think there's too much of an issue with that either. Right? You would ideally want the better SPL team to be facing the worse challenger circuit team. And there should be a bit of an advantage to having placed 7th than to having placed 8th. And that would sort of allow that. Right now, it's not really any difference, right? Whether you've been second in the SPL or second to last in the SPL or last in the SPL, or whether you've been first in the Challenger Series or second in the Challenger Series, it doesn't make a difference. You're all playing the same amount of matches against the same teams. And you can question whether that in of itself is fair, right?
Like you said, best of 1 really doesn't tell us who the better team is. There's a level of randomness in these best of 1s, and ideally, what the best of 3s will tell us is who the better team is. And I do agree. He proposes the idea of having all 4 teams face each other once in a best of 3 format. You would get Team A versus Team B for one set, Team C versus Team D, and then Team A versus C, and then Team A versus T, and B, so on and so forth. So everybody would face each other at least once in a best of 3, and we would find out who the best 2 teams would be coming out of relegations, and we would have a higher level of competition in the SPL as a result. But I really like the format he has proposed. And,
see what I think is that if HiRez is not willing to invest those extra days, I think still a fair way to hold this tournament is to just have the 7th place SPL team pick whoever they want to face out of the Challenger circuit. And then just have them face each other in a best of 3 and have the 8 face the other team in the best of 3. Because it is still fair in my mind, right? It is. It doesn't take any more games. It takes less, most likely, unless no series ends with a 2-0. And you do not make SPL by winning best of 1s, which is like the main issue that I have with the format. I don't think there's an issue with the 7th team being able to pick the weaker opponent. I just think that should be a reward for them making 7th, or more specifically for them not making 8th. Psycho, what do you think?
Wait, come again? I didn't catch the last part you said. I kind of...
So yeah, so the current format is that all teams face each other in best of 1s in a round robin format, right? Everyone plays each other once.
The last thing you said was...
Oh yeah, that there should be... I don't have an issue with there being a reward for the 7th place team making 7th instead of making last place in the SPL. And their reward would be that they get to pick the opponent they're going to be facing in relegations out of the 2 challenger circuit teams.
Oh. But wasn't the proposed one like every team plays against each other? Like,
yeah, I said that if HiRez do not want to invest the time that it would take to do that, right? Because it's potentially doubling or tripling the amount of games played, so double or triple the time needed to broadcast the entire thing. The easy solution would be to just have it be 2 best of 3s between the 7th place and whatever team they pick to face, and the 8th place team and whatever team is left.
I guess I get it now.
But yeah, do you think?
What you're saying is,
Go
what
ahead.
you're saying is you prefer the old way of doing it, as opposed to this new way of round robins.
Well, not
game
necessarily.
series.
I would prefer the old way over what we have right now with the best of 1s. I think round robin best of 3 is probably still the best option available. Right. Even though it doesn't reward not making last place in the SPL. That's not that big of an issue to me.
Yeah, I don't think that what you said would best, but what they to remember said would be better. Because like it doesn't have to be this short. Like it's not even like HiRez doesn't want to do it. There's no need to just pack it in this small amount of time when it's basically deciding who will play in the Pro League next split. Like, it's just feels like HiRez wants to get it over with, and just they it's like they're ignoring the Challenger Cup and just wants to get it over quickly instead of actually playing the best of 3s for some reason.
Basically, what you're saying is they're ignoring the best form of competition available to them.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, like I agree with the format he proposed in his tweet longer. There is enough time between splits that you can make it EU relegations for one weekend and then have the next weekend have it be NA relegations. There's enough, like I said, there's enough time between each splits where that really wouldn't be an issue. The one issue I see, and which is not a huge issue at all, is the first day of if you do have 2 days each, if 2 days for EU, 2 days for NA, that first day of each competition, so to split it evenly, you'd have to do 3 sets the first day, and then 3 sets on the second day. And the way that would work is the 2 teams that have to play twice on that first day are going to know, where they are standing coming into the second day, and they may not have to play a certain, they may not have to play another best of 3 because they did win their first 2 best of 3s, and they're guaranteed to move on unless something weird happens and you're forced to play all 6 matches instead of just 4 or 5 matches. And that could create a uneven broadcast time, which I don't think is a huge issue to really harp over, but it's still there. You still got to look at it as a possibility.
Yeah, but I don't think it's too big of an issue, honestly. So yeah. And we already have like a scenario in which matches won't be played, right? If two teams go 2-0 and two other teams go 0-2, which should be possible, and no more matches need to be played because the teams going to the SPL are already determined. So we'd only have 4 matches instead of the 6 we would usually have. The same thing could obviously happen in if you're using best of threes. And we've actually had examples of one game not happening because the 2 SPL teams were already determined.
Like I said, I don't see it being a huge issue, but as far as broadcast time, you've invested, you've paid your people that broadcast the esports, and broadcast these relegations. You've already paid them for 2 days worth of work, and we talked about money earlier. You've already paid them, and you're not getting a full second day as a result. There's a waste of, not a waste of money, but like a bad investment on money.
Well, you would always get a second day, right? Just because it's not possible. Like the way you would structure it is, I think, is you would have 3 best of threes on both days, at least scheduled ones, and tiebreakers afterwards if necessary. Probably just best of ones to save time, and that way you would not have 2 teams guaranteed for the SPL after the only 1 day, because it's impossible for 2 teams to go up 2-0 in a single day, right? But yeah, that's basically how we feel it should be changed. So yeah, another thing he mentioned, just to get through it point by point, even though it's probably gonna take a bit of time, is the amount of viewers the Challenger Circuit gets based on where it is streamed, because it's gonna be streamed either on the Tier Monster Twitch stream or on HiRez TV actually. And there's about a 10-fold increase in viewership when you're streaming it on HiRez TV than compared to the Tier Monster Twitch page. So the question obviously is, why not just stream it on HiRez TV on default whenever you can?
And that also feels like a rather simple. And I don't think HiRez necessarily has. I don't think there's a problem with just changing it to the main channel HiRez, but the problem might lie with Deer Monster itself. That's the only reason I'm seeing.
Well, what he proposes is recording. If recording the matches and playing them later on HiRez TV. One issue I see there is when are they going to broadcast it? Because even you got 3 days of the SPL, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then you got on Monday and Tuesday Console League. So you got patch notes every other Wednesday, and then Friday is probably the best day to air them. But a lot of a lot of exposure that you're going to get is based on when you're going to air these games, and if it's on a Friday where a lot of people have other things that might take priority based on the upcoming weekend. You're not guaranteed to get that boost in viewership that you would over Tier Monster.
Yeah, well, I think the way they should do it is to just have HiRez TV host Tier Monster if they can, if it's live at different times, right? If the SPL ends earlier than the Challenger circuit, and otherwise, I would have no problem with them HiRez TV, the Twitch stream, running various reruns, including those of the Challenger series, during every time when there aren't actual live matches going on, right? I don't think it would hurt the channel at all. I think it would only be beneficial. So that's how I would handle it, honestly.
But now hosting someone is not the same as streaming the game itself. Also,
yeah, but like if people, the idea of hosting is obviously that if someone tunes into your Twitch channel, and because they like you, you're basically referring them to someone else that you like. So they might be interested in watching that. So yeah, and obviously it's the same sort of topic that's normally streamed on HiRez TV.
No, but I'm gonna just refer to myself now. I usually don't go if I see that, for example, let's take Barracuda is not streaming. I'm not going to go to his channel to see if he's hosting someone. I'm just gonna find a streamer that I also enjoy and who is streaming right now. And it's even more so for the professional scene. If I don't see HiRez TV streaming, I think because it's a channel for patch notes and the pro scene, I'll just think nothing. Fuck me. I will just think nothing is going on, and it won't occur to me that I should go to the channel to see who they're hosting. So I don't think that would increase the viewership.
Well, I don't know. I don't think all people are like you.
I do think the best solution is to just have the games on HiRez TV instead of airing them on two separate locations. The biggest issue right now is the time that they are aired. On HiRez, they start an hour before the SPL starts on the weekend, and so as soon as the SPL starts, whether the game is in the middle of the match or not, they cut it off to do the countdown, and you have to watch the rest of the game on Tier Monster. It's like people are tuning in to HiRez TV to see the SPL, not to see Challenger Circuit, and they're not going to leave the HiRez TV to go watch Tier Monster page, the Tier Monster Twitch stream. So that has to change. I don't think they should continue to air it an hour before. I think pre-recording it or having it, having the games take place after the SPL matches are over, or maybe after the SCL matches are over on Monday and Tuesday, to where they get some sort of exposure for their Challenger Circuit and for the players in the Challenger Circuit, because not only does it help the players as far as team branding goes, but start branding themselves and the opportunity to create their own Twitch channels that they have and get the exposure out that way. And so having the Challenger Circuit streamed on a completely different channel it's not the solution. And Tier Monster has supported the Challenger Circuit for a long time, and we're happy to have somebody like them doing it, but the viewer base is not going to simply want to switch from HiRez TV to get a lesser quality of content on a different channel. of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Like honestly, I think it would already help if HiRez TV was running reruns or hosting them, because people, like, not everyone goes to see if necessarily the SPL is on. They just go to see if there's some sort of comp play going on. But yeah, like, I'm not sure. I think some people would not like that and would not necessarily go start watching Tier Monster at that time. But I think some people would do. And I think there's an issue with streaming it afterwards, after the SPL, just because of the time it will be at, right? Especially when you look at the European Challenger Series, Challenger Circuit. When the SPL ends, usually it's getting towards midnight, and if you're trying to run a tournament afterwards, it's a bit problematic. So you would actually really have to pre-record it. And if you're pre-recording it, the question then is, why are you not just showing it live as well on Tier Monster, and then also streaming, rerunning it on HiRez TV as well later on?
Well, that's a solution, right? You know, keep it live on Tier Monster, and then rebroadcasting it on HiRez TV later. That's a solution, and it's not one that they have going right now, which I don't know why. It makes a lot of sense for them to, you know, if they want to create the exposure for the Challenger circuit, and give the European fan base a chance to see the Challenger teams that they're after, you know, whenever at their own leisure. You know, why not have it, you know, rebroadcast on their own on their own, you know, HiRez TV later in the week. And they're not doing that now, and that's hurting the exposure of the Challenger circuit, in my opinion.
Yeah. Moving on, we have another topic where a lot of criticism is thrown towards HiRez, which is involving the LG Direwolves and their exit from the competitive Smite scene. Well, I think 4/5 of their roster have left it now. I'm not entirely sure who's staying. But
Mangu, or I'm not sure how you say his name, but I'm pretty sure that they were saying it was something like Mangu. Their ADC is the only one that was going to keep playing.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, I want.
Yeah, so the main motive being that HiRez is not...
Oh, I think it's Mingyu Seo.
Yeah, could be. I have no idea about OC, to be honest. I think the main idea is being that HiRez, or the main motive is that HiRez is not treating the OC scene well at all. There's a lot of criticism towards HiRez there, how they are not communicating as well with them as they are with the NA and the U teams, which is an issue. How payment has consistently been late. And yeah, it's just questionable, a lot of the moves that HiRez make in this tweet longer that Richard Castle has posted. Oh yeah, that's weird.
Well, he brings up the point of, you know, the prize pulling at last year's World. It was said to be $1 million tournament on their websites, but the payout was significantly less, and that they'd spent a sort of boot camp in somewhere close to Atlanta for a few weeks before Worlds happened, and it's really ended up costing them money, or really didn't have the wasn't worth the investment with the prize pool being falsely advertised to be as big as it was. That I see his point there, that they need to have some sort of clear communication, and the advertisements should be realistically based on how much money each team or the first place team is going to get. Because when you think $1 million prize pool, you think the first place team is going to get $1 million for winning, and not have the entire payment out of the tournament being $1 million.
I don't think that's the issue, honestly. I think prize pool, at least the way I understand it, and I've always understood it, is that it's the total amount of prize money available to every team that is attending. And I don't think that is the issue. I think the issue is, specifically when we look at Worlds, how the entire thing was advertised from the very beginning as $1 million tournament, how it was then lowered quite massively, and how then, most specifically, I think the issue was how they did the payment structure, or the price, the payment structure, because they sort of split up the prize pool as well and gave out attendance fees. And the attendance fees were obviously much higher for the NA and EU teams than they were for someone like the Airwolves. And it hurts them even more, right? And that's a bit of an issue, right? Because they're already not going to go too far into the tournament. I think realistically speaking, they should have known that as well. And so just reducing the prize pool, that the prize money that they're going to get in order to pay attendance fees for the NA and EU teams is going to hurt them even more. And the question there is then, why are you hurting the other regions if you're HiRez?
I'm not gonna say that regions besides North America and Europe are bad, but they seem worse. And the one thing I laughed at was that HiRez increased the prize pool a bit, but they also put in that any team that is not NA or EU that will make it semifinals, I think, will get an additional $50,000, which is basically, which was unrealistic, to be honest, and they just put it in because they probably knew that they are not at the same level as North America or Europe, instead of just actually increasing the prize pool by the amount that could have been won by the teams.
Well, see, the thing is with me, and he brings this up in later on in the twit longer, that the split earnings for winning the OCE split actually ended up being a participation fee for Masters. So all the money that they supposedly got for winning the spring Oceania split, or the first split of Oceania, ended up, just paying for their trip to Atlanta to appear at Masters, which I don't know how something like this happens. I don't agree with it happening whatsoever, and it's kind of stupid for me. If you're going to advertise the fact that you're going to have different regions at Masters other than EU and NA, don't make them pay for themselves. I mean, you're advertising them that they're supposed to be there.
Did they actually have to pay for themselves? Because I didn't read that anyway.
From way he phases it, like, I'll read the whole paragraph. Well, except for the first line, which is kind of like a lead-in from what he was talking about in the last paragraph. But basically, here's what it says. Naturally, they screwed up the very next thing. Split 1 of this year, we were told OCE would have a fat 10K prize pool, only to later find out the first place $5,000 prize was actually a participation fee for qualifying for Masters. We only found this out once we had locked up first place 5 weeks into the split. I don't know how this was miscommunicated. Prize money we wouldn't be receiving anytime soon.
Yeah, the way I see that is that they would only get this money after Masters, right? Instead of the rest of the teams who would be paid after the end of the split.
They didn't know. Like, HiRez didn't even...
Yeah, of course. Like that is an issue in of itself. The communication between HiRez and the OCE Scene has been terrible. There's no denying that, right? The fact that they are waiting months longer for payment than the other teams is a clear sign of that. The fact that they were the only, or that they didn't know what the prize pool for Season 3 Worlds was gonna be, while the NA and EU teams knew, is a sign of that. That communication is poor between HiRez and OCE. But I don't think they had to pay for their flights to Masters, right? I don't think that was the case.
I think, well, see, I think the the rooms, their flights and their rooms, their hotels that they stayed in Atlanta, HiRez paid for. But their prize winning, for what I read, the prize winning for them winning their first split and qualifying for Masters was actually a participation fee to allow them into Masters. Maybe this is worded wrong, or if I'm reading it wrong, but from how I'm reading it, it's looks, or it reads like their prize money they got for winning was actually just hey, we won, here's our payment to allow us to show up for Masters, or allow us to participate in Masters. And that they actually didn't actually get to see that $5,000 that they won.
Well, again, from how I understood it, that the issue here is that they just got it way too late, because they got it after Masters, because it was a participation fee for that and not prize money for the actual split. But I don't know.
This level of miscommunication between the two parties, HiRez and the company that does the OCE or sponsors the OCE portion or the OCE league, can't happen. In my opinion, there has to be better forms of communication.
Yeah, and honestly, if you look at World Season 3, if it was communicated to the NA and EU pros attending World what the prize pool of Worlds was going to be, it needs to also be communicated to everyone else who is attending Worlds, and it needs to be done directly. If HiRez has a direct channel to communicate with the EU and NA pros, they need to have the same for every other region.
Like, it's not only the players, but also, like, as the viewers, like, he even said it in this bit longer as well, that I think he said even the handbooks said that it would be a $1 million tournament.
Yeah.
And like, so even the viewers and like us were just like, I thought it would be a 1 million tournament, and then the tweets from the pros came out. Then
yeah, that was just stupid as well.
Like, it's just, and yeah, and HiRez basically shrugged it off again, saying it was a mistake and it won't happen in the future, and it obviously did.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a joke. Like, honestly, the how they handled them everything is a bit of a joke.
Gosh, I honestly wish DM Brandon was like the director of the game, just because he could tell all those people who do this to fuck off, honestly.
That would probably be the only thing I would let DM Brandon do anymore, because he wouldn't mess around. He would be like, hey, this shit can't happen. Make it work. If I'm HiRez Stu or HiRez Dan, or one of the runners, of HiRez, I'm making sure this doesn't happen again, because you just lost one of your best international teams.
I wouldn't say that.
It's not the best.
I wouldn't say that. Like,
outside of NA and EU, LG Direwolves, along with other like Liched Esports and Black Dragons and all the other teams we're used to seeing at Worlds and at these international tournaments, LG Direwolves was one of the teams that you knew, even if you didn't watch OCE, they had made enough appearance on the international stage that you actually knew what to expect from them. And
they didn't.
I would go as far as saying that they were one of the best international teams outside of the SPL.
I don't agree with that. Like, honestly, OCE never showed anything at Worlds. I don't think they won a single game at Worlds. They won a single game in any international tournament.
Well, there's only been one international team to win a game at Worlds, so.
Yeah, but not even against the other teams of the other regions, right? I don't think OCE has looked impressive at all at either of the World Championships they've attended.
But they're the best team at OCE, I think. Right? You can at least say that much. They were the best team at OCE, and they were a team that you recognize when they come to these international tournaments. You recognize the players. You knew who Rowe was. You knew who Kiki Omei was. Richard Castle, even if you've never seen the TV show Castle, which is who his character was, or who his in-game name is after, you knew who he was. And now that they're losing this team from the OCE, and you don't really know who else is coming to, or which team is going to step up and be that OCE team, you're hurting the game because you've lost such a big international name. Maybe not the best international team, but a big international name, and players that even the SPL community recognize.
Yeah, sure. I would agree with that. So yeah, where were we again? Lost track completely. I think the general way we can summarize this is that HiRez needs to really fucking work on their communication, especially with the other regions, but also in terms of how they advertise things. Because this is not the first fuck up. The Season 3 World Championship was not the first fuck up where they advertised something falsely, right? We've had fucking skins mislabeled as exclusive and what's the other one? Limited before.
Yeah, that's skins. It's like voice packs. Also, when they did the 1 million subscribers on YouTube giveaway, they gave away supposedly limited not voice packs, announcer packs is what I meant. And then when people said no, these were limited, they said no, they were just mislabeled, and it's okay because we said they aren't limited now, so they aren't.
Yeah, like if it's just, first of all, it's really fucking risky if you're falsely advertising stuff, because you can get sued for that. And it's just fucking stupid. Like, why HiRez? These are such stupid mistakes.
Like, they can be so easily fixed, and they just...
Well, the way they're going, or the way HiRez is going about this, all this stuff that's going on behind the scenes, the game it's going to suffer as a result, and I don't want to go as far as saying that it's dying, because I do feel like it's not dying. It's stagnated a little bit, but you're hurting the game by doing all this stuff, and might eventually end up mortally wounding the game, where it's not going to be around for much longer. You have to fix these issues if you want to keep going.
Yeah. HiRez, fix your shit, please. Thank you.
And we're not even trying to be memers right now. This is a serious discussion. This shit cannot happen if you want the game to get bigger and grow the game.
Yeah. These are fucking beginner mistakes, and it's terrible to see HiRez making them.
Big stupid mistakes. You can't have these.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on?
I feel like it, because it's only going to piss me off if we keep talking about this.
Okay. In that case, let's talk about better things, more positive things, I guess. I'm not sure if... Well, we'll see if they're more positive. Roster changes that have happened so far. In the last week, basically. Everything that we didn't already touch on. Between the splits, for now. The first big one, probably the largest one that we heard, actually, is Salia. OBE solo laner was announced. Yeah, I just blew that. And it's going to be Salia, who took a break, who was previously on Enix, obviously, then took a break for the summer split, and is now going to be back in the fall as OBE Alliance's solo laner. So yeah, what are we expecting?
Well, I touched on this a little last week. I was never a huge fan of Zelia's playstyle, and I didn't quite agree, with him being announced the solo laner for OBE. But given this past weekend's success of the Manticores and seeing how players with unique and wide god pools can actually pay off for a team, I'm not as upset about it, or I don't have as big of a problem with it as I did before this past weekend, because we now have proof that wide god pools can cause crazy things to happen, and are there better options than Zelia in the solo lane? I believe so, but this is definitely making things interesting, and I think that it's not going to hurt them too much as far as being one of the top teams in EU goes.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wait and see how he settles into the role. Like, synergy is always hard to evaluate just from the names we've heard, but considering OBE tried out different people from what they've said, I'm not too worried that Salia is not going to be a great fit for them from a personality standpoint, right? Because they should have noticed that already, and I think a team of the caliber of OBE and the experience of OBE would have noticed that pretty early on if it wasn't going to work. But yeah, Salia, I think if you're just going off of pure skill, it was probably the best option available. But whether it's going to be the best fit over other people that would have been available is probably a bit questionable. But yeah.
I think Zelia is a good player in himself and probably will do good with the team personality-wise, but I'm not sure how the play style changing the solo lane will work out from a player like Maniac to Zelia. But I can't really judge how it will go before we've seen him play with the team. So I think the best course of action is just to wait for the full split and see how plays on Obey.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I think really allows me to accept the fact that it's going to be Zelia in the solo lane is when this team was first formed and it was hungry for more. It was a lot of players that people or other players around the league didn't feel were wanted, like they wanted them on their teams, like sort of outcast or players that were just after teams had fallen apart they were the best players on teams that were falling apart, and the other teams didn't feel like they wanted them on the team.
Yeah.
And Zelia fits that kind of for me. Like, he was an outcast. Nobody feels like, a lot of people feel like he doesn't belong on a roster. And once upon a time, Twig and Ataraxia and Pretty Prime were all in that same mode. Now they bring in another guy that the opinion about him is pretty much the same as it was about them a year ago.
Yeah, like Hungry for More was the outcast squad basically, except for Prime and Ataraxia probably. But apart from them, as you said, they were players that didn't really find a good place on another team. And yes, Celia, he was kicked from Enix, right? That is basically the main thing, why it's comparable. And we'll see if his comeback works out. I think he has the talent to do it. He's never been a bad solo laner, even when he's been confined to those warriors that are currently basically dominating the meta.
Well, see, that's another point. Emilzy, the support player for Obey, likes these warrior supports, and so it kind of frees Zelia up to run some of these Sobex and the Guardian solos that he likes to play. So
yeah,
flexibility is there too. So
yeah, but I also didn't think those were ever his strong suit. Right, his strong suit were really the assassins, and those haven't been really viable, apart from a few exceptions in solo for a long time, honestly. Anti-mages.
Solo. It's basically
another thing you bring up is Zelia being good at assassins, and so Captain Twig can play warrior jungle. So there you go. It frees you up to play. There's a lot of flexibility on this roster now.
Yeah, I think they've already had that a bit, right? It wasn't an issue having two warriors in this meta, really. It could be an issue in future metas, and they're probably going to be more prepared for that now, because they're going to have Celia, who has potential to play mages and assassins and whatnot in solo, whereas Maniac didn't really have that too much. But yeah, it could be an improvement, right? Depending on how the meta changes. But right now it's not looking like we're moving away from the warrior solos, really. At least not in my opinion. So I'm not expecting Celia to be a world beater again, just because in this type of meta he's never been a world beater. He's just gonna be a solid player, if you ask me.
Now I'm gonna be excited to see his Alquang thing.
Yeah, let's see that. It's a mage and an assassin, so it's both. The best of both worlds. The question is, though, is he gonna get it over adapting, or are NRG gonna first pick it?
Chronos for ammo.
Yeah. You could give Chronos to Celia as well. Probably. Moving on. The next big news was that ALG, the organization, is completely leaving esports. So yeah, those guys are now without a team essentially. What does that mean?
The thing that stands out to me is that means that they're no longer under contract to stay with the team, that they're playing, or that they could stay as a team solely on the fact that they enjoy playing with each other and they're not bound by contract to keep playing with each other. So they're freed of their contracts with ALG, and they're free to make moves as they see fit, best. That's best for them personally and best for the team as a whole. So that whole Mate Yankee thing that I brought up last week with him possibly being a better fit on E United is now not a certainty, but definitely a possibility because he's no longer under contract with ALG.
What I'm going to take away from this is, when you actually look at the post that Allegiance made, and at the explanation why they are closing the organization, they said they can't compete with the orgs at the highest level with their funding, and that just brings me to like what will happen with the Smite team now. Like, they say they can't compete with other orgs, but it's not like any orgs are even interested in Smite, so like the big ones. So like I don't know what they will get a better sponsorship than ALG.
Yeah, like it depends. I think the other news that we've had this week won't help much in getting old orcs, like the big orcs, back into Smite. But I think there's still some around. Like we've seen Space Station basically come out of nowhere, and we've seen other orcs sort of appear. Sanguine could be looking at a new squad, although they'll probably be looking more towards the EU side than NA. And there are other orcs, smaller ones, that would certainly be interested in getting a Smite team, I think, just because it's probably relatively cheap. And yeah, like it's not good for them. It's not going to be good for them. I don't think they're going to get a better offer than what they had on Allegiance, especially considering how their summer went. But I don't think it's too terrible right now. So yeah.
They're not going to get a better offer, in my opinion, either. But like I said, it does free them up to make moves they feel are best for each individual party in this, whether it be player or team.
Yeah. Well, Smite orgs have largely been very hands-off when it comes to managing the team itself, right? And I'm almost certain the Legions would have been the same way. Contracts have never really mattered in Smite esports. Let's be real.
You're right, but again, they did announce with the signing of Nearmall that their entire roster was under a 1-year contract with the organization. So yes, there are ways out of said contract, but it's a lot easier now because there's no contract there to make these moves.
Yeah.
Makes the process a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think roster changes could really help this team, just because they have some issues. Like we've pointed out that Cyclone is basically their only carry, and there are other players available for mid especially that could fit that type of role as well. So if Allegiance is now, or if ex-Allegiance is now able to make roster changes a bit more easily, it could help them in terms of their competitive performance. Outside of that, I don't think it's going to change all too much, or it's going to help them like at all. But yeah. The other big news are that this AI roster that we've seen, like Team AI, is apparently completely falling apart now.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Because news was last week, I think, just shortly after we published this our podcast, that Divios was leaving Team AI. Now, just after the NRG Invitational, it was announced that Best had become a free agent, and now, just a couple of hours ago, it was announced that Aurora would be changing to Trifecta. So, yeah, there's basically no one left on the AI roster. But yeah,
it's not like we didn't see this coming. I mean, we've got recordings of me saying that it's the Team AI roster seemed like a team that was put together and finished the split, so it wasn't that big of a surprise. In all honesty, to me at least, I think I would go as far as saying it wasn't a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, like the only thing we were sort of potentially expecting was Aurora and Best sticking together and trying to build a team around themselves, which is obviously not the case now. With Aurora leaving Trifecta, this team is pretty much done. I really want to see what they put together for relegations even, right? Because who's still on this team? Xenotronics?
Xenotronics and El Chapo.
Yeah, like that's I wouldn't even consider that a solid basis for a team. But yeah.
But the thing about Aurora Tetrafecta is we always assume that Aurora and the Best were kind of a package deal, and that they would stay together. Well, with Herwin being the mid laner for Trifecta, we're assuming that he's still the mid laner for Trifecta. The Best is, free. No longer has that. Not like he had it before, but he's no longer assumed that they're going to be on the same team together, and you don't really have to make two spots available for those players. You can just pick up the Best by himself now.
Yeah, it makes him a lot more attractive for other teams, right? Because the Best is definitely still a great mid laner, and I think a lot of teams would be interested in picking him up. And maybe not the teams at the very top, unless they swap some players around within the roster as well. I think we've talked about it previously with Baskin and Andy being mids who could potentially switch into other roles. And Best has now a lot of options, I think. ALG could be looking to replace Mid Yankee. Obviously, United is looking for a mid laner, etc. There's a lot of stuff going on in NA right now. And yeah, I think the same thing can be said for Divios. We've talked about it as well. How we think Scary D is not going to stay on Luminosity, and how that is a spot that could be filled by him, or how other teams might be looking to replace their solo laners as well. Yeah.
All these announcements are doing is just confirming what we've already believed. We've discussed at length where we think Divios would fit, where we think Best would fit, and now, they at the time they weren't free agents, and now that they are, it makes these discussions that we've had prior more and more relevant.
Psycho, do you have anything to say about it?
No, I'm just gonna follow what you said about Dios. Yes, when watching the NRG Invitational, I don't remember who was it or what exactly they said, but they were talking about Scary D, and it didn't really seem like they are like rushing to kick him or get him out or replace him. I think it was Jeff actually talking about it.
Well, that's too bad then. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I think other teams might look to pick up Devios.
Yeah. I think he's an upgrade on a lot of rosters, and I don't really doubt that he will find a new home. So I'm just looking forward to see what it will be.
Let's be honest, with the way solo lane right now is in North America, Devios is an upgrade over everybody except for Benji.
Yeah, probably.
I think Benji is the one player that Devios does not upgrade. I think he's definitely an upgrade over Cyclone Spin, but I don't think Weekend and Cyclone Spin are breaking up again. So.
Yeah, it didn't work too well last time.
So probably the two safest players in the league right now are probably Benji and Cyclone. As far as Devios is concerned. If you're a solo laner in NA, you have to be worried that Devios is a free agent.
Yeah, and I think if LG decides to keep Scary, it's just going to hurt them. And like, I can understand them making this decision, not from a logical standpoint. From a logical standpoint, I think they should have kicked him by now. But yeah, still, if they like him and want to stick with him, that's their choice. It's just I just don't think it's going to win them titles. I'm just saying, if I was the manager of Luminosity, I would be kicking Scary D right now, and either putting Baskin back in solo if he would like to do that, and getting the best, or just getting Devios.
Sounds like a good decision. It's from our perspective. But then again, as I said, it doesn't seem like the team has bad relations with Scary.
Yeah, I think, was it Barracuda a couple of weeks ago said Scary D is one of the nicest people in the league. Oh, there's that. But
yeah, but
being friends and being nice is one thing. Winning and getting paid is another. So
yeah, I have one thing to say to Barra. Barra, being nice isn't gonna win you titles. Please. Please.
Well, he's got one, which is more than a lot of the other players can say.
Yeah, was he he was with Stealth back then?
Yeah.
Is Stealth a nice person? Would you say that? From everything we've heard.
Oh.
I definitely say that Barracuda is a very nice person.
Yeah, sure.
But Stealth, no. From what I've heard, no.
See? Sabo, can you remind me who got MVP at 2015 Worlds?
Elf.
Yeah. So yeah. Please, LG, kick Scary. Okay, moving to other players that we don't think are very good. The entire Flashpoint roster.
I think that's enough for roster changes, honestly. Like, there's no need to talk about this.
Yeah,
that's so bad.
No, let's just say quickly, Psycho, what do you think about this new Flashpoint roster?
I'm gonna say that we won't see Flashpoint in the SPL anymore.
Sabo?
I'm going to say Flashpoint needs to sponsor a different team because they're not going to make it to relegations.
Well, I'm going to say...
Well, they might because it's Team AI is no longer... I spoke too soon. We forgot about Team AI no longer being a thing, so there's only 3 teams in relegations right now. And without seeing the other rosters, we don't know.
Hey, they have like 2 weeks to put together another roster for Team AI, so they might find something. And I think there's there's a decent likelihood that it's going to be better than this Flashpoint roster. So that says quite a lot. Yeah. They would need a miracle to stay in the SPL. Yeah. The only way Shadow Q is going to stay in the SPL is going to be as a coach for a team. Okay, roster changes are done.
I've already said that about half a dozen times, so yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah, roster changes are done. Let's not beat down Flashpoint anymore. Let's move on.
It's like the last 2 chances we have before they are out.
Yeah, but it's gonna be. We can still talk about them in a relegations recap.
We still talk about Scaredy every episode.
Yeah, because he's still in the SPL.
And we expect him to be in the SPL, whether he's not in Luminosity or if he's on a different team. Like, we expect Scary D to be in the SPL next split.
Scary should be joining AI right now.
Yeah, but like Flashpoint is also still in the SPL, so we should just bash them. Until
yeah, okay. What do you think about Flashpoint? In the meanest way you can possibly say it.
Right. Hold on. He said, let's move on. We don't have to talk about Flashpoint. And now he's wanting us to talk about Flashpoint.
Yeah,
Ivan?
apparently.
No. Yeah, okay, let's just move on.
Come on, insult Flashpoint a little bit. Let out your bad side.
The floor is yours.
Psycho, there's a villain in everyone. Let out your inner villain.
Give in to the dark side, young one.
Yeah.
Wait, he's never seen Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, right. Doesn't work on
him. He doesn't get that.
I mean, I think I gotta get it. Because I know it. I never saw it, but I think I know the basics, like, of it.
No, nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah. Have you seen Game of Thrones? Psycho?
I know the meme, but...
So yeah, Psycho has officially seen nothing. So he also knows nothing, just like Jon Snow. Well then.
I still saw more movies than Flashpoint 1 SPL games.
Oh, that's a good one.
There we go.
You can turn on the HBO for half an hour and watch more movies than Flashpoint 1 SPL games. That's not...
I think F-Dot running to grab Barracuda's movie was more impressive than anything Flashpoint has done to split.
I think F-Dot running was more impressive than Flashpoint.
I think F-Dot in general is more impressive than Flashpoint.
Alright, let's stop bashing Flashpoint.
Yeah, okay.
They've suffered enough.
So, anything else you want to discuss?
I believe there's nothing.
It's interesting. Sabo, did you not want to talk about something?
Well, I did, but we kind of running time.
Yeah.
Well, we can knock it out. It'll only take about a minute or two. First impressions of the newest god or goddess in this situation, or this whatever. Yeah,
So,
words. It's hard. English is hard, even for somebody who speaks it as their first language.
yeah. My first
What are your
impression.
thoughts on this?
Yeah. My first impression is I hate her. Absolutely. Just playing against her. Because she's annoying as fuck.
Against her, yeah.
And I haven't played her yet, so I don't care. If she's fun to play. Like the way in which she has ruined my matches so far cannot be made up for by being fun to play herself.
The learning curves on all stance switchers are kind of difficult. And this it's one of the main reasons why we don't see a lot of stance switchers in the SPL, because other than the fact that they don't have a ult or dedicated ult, it makes it a little rough for her, rough for stance switchers to get any sort of traction in the SPL. As far as her lockdown potential goes and her setup ability, I think it's there, that she has just as much of the lockdown and setup potential that you would want on your traditional Guardians. My one issue with her is that none of her moves or none of her abilities feel all that impactful like other stance switchers are.
Wait, really?
Sabo? No.
Sabo, please. Like, I don't know which ability is, but her fucking line attack that like slows and roots, it's fucking devastating. Her cripple is just as devastating. Her like damage burst in bear form is just as devastating.
Like, how can you think she's fine?
And why can she fucking dash for like 1,000 meters?
Like, she's a fucking walking Geb ultimate. That also cripples for 20 million seconds.
Because why not?
Yeah, right.
I'm just angry at her. Like, seriously.
You'll have to bear with it until the patch.
Oh, pun.
Sabo, please.
Roby didn't catch the pun, but I did. You got to bear with it.
Oh god. I just noticed.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think she's actually fun, and the nerfs don't bury her, like hell, for example.
I'm very much looking forward to her first set of nerfs.
I still don't expect her to see much play action in the SPL, though.
Well, because she will be nerfed by then. Otherwise, she would see play.
Like, stance switchers aren't all that. The other two stance switchers, Hill and Uller, we don't usually get to see a lot of stance switchers, so I don't expect her to make that big of an impact as far as the SPL goes.
Yeah, sure. But still, we've seen. Hey, we just saw Hell dominate the weekend, and we saw Uller as well.
If someone tries to play her after the nerfs, it'll probably be pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to everyone crying on Reddit when her nerfs are announced. It's gonna be fun to listen to. Or to watch. Or to read.
Give me Ganesh over Artio. I'll be fine.
Also, please do not give anyone Ganesh. Nah, but like I don't think she's even that poorly designed. She's interesting, but she's just OP right now. So I hate her based on that. Like, there are gods that you hate because they are really boring, and there are gods that you hate because they are just really fucking OP.
Still not as bad as Karnanos was.
I think she is.
I think you're on something.
You can't feel it that much because she's a Guardian.
Yeah, unless she like two-shots you still, because she's a Guardian with 6 abilities.
Like, her one does the same damage as a Vulcan backfire.
Yeah, see? It's reasonable.
And it heals in the other form, like...
Reasonable.
She also has a self-heal.
Yeah, but doesn't she have 2 heals?
Like, she has 1 team heal and 1 self-heal.
Yeah, why?
That makes... Like...
She has fucking... like, I think the only other god that has 2 heals is fucking Hell. Let's think about that.
Like,
And Hell
because
has
the
no CC.
scaling-
Hell has no
scaling is,
CC.
like, insane. Like your one can, if you hit 2 people, you heal for like 300 plus like 50% of your power, and like all allies that are near you and yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you just hit everyone and you have a 700 plus more than like all your power for everyone in your team around you.
Yeah, and if they do decide to turn on you, it's a good thing you can just dash 5,000 meters away.
After you stun them and gain protections and
Yeah.
cripple them.
And if they really decide to chase after you, you can just slow and root them.
Yeah, also you can just strip 1/4 of their protections for nothing because that's your passive and it's apparently balanced.
Yeah, who needs built-in Executioner or Demonic Grip? Well, it's both, really.
Yeah, it's for both. For your whole team. Right.
Yeah. There's going to be numbers changes to her. And probably other changes.
Oh, do you want to hear a fun thing also?
Yeah.
Her base health at level 20 is 2,500.
Yeah, I think, yeah, seems reasonable. What's the highest? Like, Emir has the highest, right?
I think it's Emir.
How much is his?
Emir has exactly 90 more health.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
He also has the highest health scale, or based on level of his health, he has the highest health.
Yeah, he has 104 health scaling, and Artio has 100.
And I think Athena has like 100 as well.
Yeah, Athena has the same HP. And then there's like gods like Xinchen who have 10 less and even 15 base less. So.
Oh, yeah. He has 2,590, Emir. Yeah, let's wait until tomorrow. Patch notes on HiRez TV at 4 p.m. EDT. Go watch it. Any other shoutouts? I'll take that as a no.
No, not that comes to mind.
Yeah. Well, in that case, this is it from the Tuesday Night Smite podcast for this week. If you did like this episode, please leave us a like on YouTube or SoundCloud or wherever else you're watching this. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on SoundCloud if you want to be notified for new episodes whenever they come out. You can follow us on Twitter for various stuff we post there as well. Mostly predictions for matches that are going on that day. And yeah, thank you all for joining us this week. Leave us any feedback you may have as well. And thank you to guys for being here with me today, putting up this awesome show. And with that, good night, good smite, everybody.